What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid is up 2.3%, 241 the low, 251 the high. So kind of trading within a set range, but aside from that, there is absolute euphoria in the broader market. And a lot of that is stemming from tariffs. So easing of tariffs pretty much across the board, a lot of deals. That's exactly what the market did want. And so yeah, I think big things might be coming for the broader market. That's of course if they do stick. But you do see a lot of the EV sector somewhat struggling. So they're participating in the broader rally, but they are somewhat lagging. And the reason why they are lagging is because of this. So Lucid and Rivian essentially both did benefit from the auto tariffs, but it looks as though that there's going to be some easing on that. So Trump administration is weighing on some potential exemptions for Chinese auto parts. So again, adding a little bit more of an additional benefit to other companies such as Ford and so forth. So at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal, but still I think what gave Lucid and Rivian a very nice kind of advantage over other automakers, it looks as though they're somewhat losing it. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. No official news from Lucid, no SEC filings, nothing along those lines. There is a lot of things posted by Lucid Oasis, so it looks as though that they are really stepping up their game marketing wise. So this right here is between May the 4th and the 5th, so Saudi Cup, so they'll be kind of showcasing themselves there. And then right here, they are going to be at the CTI Symposium USA 2025 between May the 13th and 14th. So pretty good to see Lucid get their name out there. So maybe this is part of the bigger marketing shift, but nonetheless though, it's they just need to deliver. So you can kind of talk as much as you want at this stage in the game. I think just investors and institutions do really want Lucid just to execute on their ramp up. That's plain as day. That's it. Either you find some revenue through licensing or you just ramp up and deliver more vehicles. That's pretty much it. So kind of a love-hate relationship a little bit with a lot of this marketing. Like it only extends to a certain point. So let me know your general thoughts on that. As far as shorts, so shorts are really doubling down. They are increasing 5.27 million shares. Absolute insanity. So I obviously look at a lot of different stocks and what shorts are doing with those stocks throughout the day. Pretty much the whole EV sector, like shorts are panicking and returning. Lucid shorts, they are just saying, F it, I'm doubling down. So I think they might be reacting, like I said, to potentially this news, or maybe they just want to ensure Lucid does close and stays well away from the 50-day moving average. So let me know your general thoughts on that. 23.69% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 287.92 million shares overall are being shorted. So definitely kind of a messed up scenario. Looking at the options, 892,000 in calls, 3.4 in puts, 77% of all the options being done are somewhat neutral in nature, and that's just because clearly there might be multi-leg transactions. It's not oriented towards the bid or the ask. And you can even see right here there was $3 million in premiums between 225 and 230. So it just happened at the pretty much the bottom for today. And if we orient it based on premiums, it looks as though it was just one large transaction and a $3 put for January 15th, 2027. And there was roughly $1.36 in overall premium. So at the end of the day, kind of interesting how what obviously big institutions are doing. So I don't know, what's your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Unfortunately, the negative side of this though is that we can't necessarily tell if it was a buy or a sell based on that $3 put, only because, like I said, like a lot of platforms such as even Unusual Whales, they orient bullish and bearish based on where it was the transaction was done on the bid and the ask. So with it being pretty much smack dab in the center, it's hard to distinguish what it was. So again, that's kind of the negative side of that and why it's counting it as neutral. So what's your viewpoint on that? But aside from that though, based on the bulls, there's a consensus for it to be above 250, and I think it's just been struggling with that today. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 250 and sub $2 pretty much for the foreseeable future. So a little bit more breaking, unfortunately, but these are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So I feel like this is what is very surprising to a lot of individuals, because they see huge amounts of volume getting in and trading Lucid in one day, but they see this and just say, hey, this doesn't jive, this doesn't match with overall volume. This is why I've stated time and time again, algorithmic trading is the strongest and most powerful tool in the broader market. So yes, it's important to follow kind of what big money is doing, but algos following and piggybacking off of essentially the news, market news, does play also a very big part. So based on this, it seems to be evenly divided. So 3 buys and 3 sells, and you can tell based on the bid and the ask, right? Aside from that, these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So relatively quiet for that. So shorts did their thing and they're pretty much just sticking to it. So that's the downside of that. But with that 244 trading between this R1 and the pivot, so 233 is going to be a strong support. Wasn't tested today at all. And then 255 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. Similarly, wasn't touched. So I think Lucid just needs to gain some good momentum, put out some concrete news, whether it be licensing, partnership, or something like that, then the stock will just explode, because up until that point, it's just pent up, and shorts are unfortunately kind of dictating where Lucid is going. But aside from that, no new analyst ratings or anything like that today. On the actual chart, so $2.46 is that 50-day moving average. That's pretty much what shorts are trying to really suppress it by and keep it away from that point, because we already do know what that means for Lucid. Bigger picture, if it is able to close above that 50-day moving average for 2 consecutive days, you have breakout kind of situations happen. Shorts don't want that. Shorts are doing everything possible to really avoid that. So that's one point to watch for. Also that right over here, that 100-day moving average sitting at $2.62, and then 200 at 288. So it's just a matter of time before Lucid does go higher. And honestly, I think just it needs to really, like I said, just cut the BS and just ramp up. That's what the market is really yearning for, is just revenue. It needs that revenue, and that's basically it. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What is your kind of viewpoint on, for instance, Trump and them giving some exemptions to Chinese auto parts? Do you think that's Lucid losing the advantage that it did have, that clearly the market was pricing in? And what's your general thoughts on, for instance, shorts doing what they do? Seems to be on a daily basis, like with Lucid. Regardless, positive market, negative market, shorts are always increasing. So what's your general thoughts? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.